Oh, wow.
Okay, so one of the things about reading is we always go from speech to print. From speech to print. And that's a thing you're going to see as we go through some of the materials and some of the games and activities. Reading instruction must move from speech to print. And there are two skills that I'm going to talk about that are essential for a young 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old child to have. And that is beginning sound isolation and phoneme segmentation. Beginning sound isolation and phoneme segmentation. Of course, I've already given my pitch about the phoneme segmentation. Because reading actually begins with hearing sounds. Reading for all children begins with what's called phonemic awareness, which is the ability of the child to hear and manipulate sounds in spoken language. That's actually where reading begins. And that's the most important thing that we've ever learned about reading, is that it's actually has less to do with the eye and more to do with the auditory processing of our brain. So a phoneme is the smallest unit of sound. So cat, the word cat, the spoken word cat has 3 sounds, at. And if you close your eyes and say boot, the spoken word boot also only has 3 sounds or 3 phonemes. Doesn't matter that it's spelled with 4 letters. We're talking about sounds. Now, this idea of a child being able to appreciate and identify these sounds in spoken language actually lays the foundation of reading success, as we'll see. It leads to a strong letter of recognition, strong word identification, and so we're going to see how that plays out as well. Now, beginning sound isolation. I want the little 3-year-old child that I'm working with, or I wish I had a grandchild. At some point I'll have a grandchild who's 3, and I'll start playing games with him or her, trying to get that child's brain to be able to do something, and that is to look at the house and say, and if I give the child a little figurine of a zebra, the child can say zzz. If I give the child a banana or have him hold a ball, I want that child to say buh. And that's not something that just happens overnight. It's not just something that I can explain to a child. It's something that his brain has to wrap around or start to do. So this is our goal. I want the little 3, 4, 5-year-old who I'm working with, or if I'm running a classroom, I want them to, at some point, to be able to, on their own, look at a house and say, hold a ball and say buh. Now, why do I want that? Because if a child can look at the picture of bear and say buh, then lo and behold, they will totally understand that symbol that's next to it, which is very abstract. It's just a squiggle. It's just a black squiggle. But that's the key stuff for reading, isn't it? That thing on the left, that little B. So if the child can look at bear, can isolate the beginning sound and say buh, boom, I am ready to let that child learn the alphabet letters. That's very exciting for me. In an early childhood classroom, of course, one of the principles is you're not supposed to push children. You're supposed to let them, learn naturally and let them go at their own pace. But man, when I started playing games with sounds where I was getting children who were as young as 3, certainly as young as 3, but easily 3.5 and 4, touching the table and saying tch, holding the ball and saying buh, looking at the window and saying whoop. That's the day that I could start teaching the alphabet, which I love to do. So let's see how that works. First, let's talk about beginning sound isolation. I play a little bingo game. This is one of my materials, but you can make this. You can find stuff at home. I'm not trying to push materials. This is just a game idea which you can take or leave. It's a little bingo game. So I have 3 or 4 children. Maybe I only have 1 child if I'm a homeschooling mom. I'm saying, okay, let's get our game pieces. Why don't you pick a card and I'll pick a card. Let's see. Where is the books? So the child looks on the card, finds the books, and puts the game piece on there. Now, I would like the child to repeat books, and that'll happen eventually. And at some point, I'm going to sort of insist on it. In a classroom situation, and many times I'll insist that the child do it at some point, not right at the beginning. And if he doesn't say books, I take the game piece off as if he didn't do it. I said, well, where's the books? Oh, it's here. I said, yeah, but I didn't hear books. Because his voice is more important for his brain than my voice. So if I can get him to say it, great. And if I can't, that's fine too. So this is just a modeling technique, isn't it? I'm not asking the child to identify beginning sounds. I'm just asking the child to identify vocabulary. Where's the buttons? I might even say, where's the monkey? I don't have to only do the "b" things in the beginning.
I love it that it's also a game, because in the teaching artist work that I do, I always say, and I know this to be true, when a child is emotionally connected and emotionally invested in the activity, in this case, the emotion is joy and fun, the learning is going to settle in and stick more than if it's by rote. So I think this is brilliant.
And
brilliant.
my best tool as a teacher is repetition. So when you have a game that a child wants to play again, you get the natural repetition. Now, there's another thing on this particular game is freedom of choice. I can let the child choose which card he wants to do. I think there are 28 cards in this set. Might actually allow the child to choose which game pieces he wants to use. I have a little set of game pieces where there's different colors and they can choose the pink ones or the blue ones or the jewels or the little elephants, whatever it is. Adding choice into the mix always helps things along. So this is how I model beginning sound isolation. One of the things I do. At some point, when a child actually can isolate beginning sounds, then I want him to practice it. Now he can play this game independently, as you can see from this slide. Now he didn't put a game piece in the boxes, where you're supposed to begin. See the picture of the horse? That's where you're supposed to start, because the horse is sort of giving you your marching orders. The horse is saying, okay, I begin with what sound, Thomas? And he says, okay, find the other pictures to start with. So this allows him to practice beginning sound isolation independently. And so that particular skill becomes very strong. This is